So, anyway, I want to introduce the panelists, the distinguished panelists, and I want to put some questions from the stage, and starting from Francesco Fuselli, Andrea Garolla, and Arturo Capasso. So, Francesco, you know Francesco is active and experienced in shipping finance advisory, and I would like to hear from Francesco his opinion about the role of the private equity in this market. As I introduced before, the concept what the private equity is a risk appetite, but anyway has a high expectation in terms of IRR. So my individual opinion about is and my negative comment about the role of the private equity in this market, because I think that the approach is not right, is not correct, is not fair when I hear that the private equity expect more than the 25 or 30% from private equity. I want to get your opinion, because you have a clear picture of the actual market due your experience in the ship finance.
Thank you, Fabrizio. First, yeah, okay, no, that's fine. First of all, I would like to thank Francesco Saverio for kindly hosting us, all of us. Secondly, I would like just to remind all of you that we are at least 1 hour late. Secondly. Thirdly, I would like just to be very, very short. And if I may, Fabrizio, I would like just to swap your question exactly at the opposite, because during the last years we have heard from your side that a lot of interest from private equity towards shipping and from mezzanine towards shipping. So first of all, I would like just to understand why you have partially changed your opinion on that.
Where is the starting point? Because when I started the VSL, never I promised the 25% or 30%. I promised my investors close to 10%. This is the point. And I am a bit amazed to see on the market a wide range of investors that they offer the opportunity to gain the 25% in this market, basing the perspectives on this moment and on the base of the rationale of the market.
I still think that the private investor could be really still be very attracted from our market, because conditions are there, opportunities are there, especially during these days. There are a lot of opportunities for them to gain the IRR return that you were mentioning before. So I think that even probably more today compared to the past, there are opportunities for private equity to be attracted by our industry. Nevertheless, facts are, at least in Europe or in Italy, there is practically non-interest from, I don't want to say interest, but concluded deals on that. So the combination between the private equity lenders and owners are really minimal today. And what I would like just to pose a question to someone that were talking, I don't know if Michele or others that were just mentioning the mini bonds. Minimal interest from the mini bonds market to the shipping industry, if it's probably, as we are just debating with Arturo, probably connected to the absence of fiscal interest of the mini bond markets to the shipping, because shipping is not looking for fiscal attractive tools. So I would just wonder if this absence of fiscal attractions could be the reason why the mini bonds seems not to be interest to our industry.
Michele, if you don't mind, then I want to enlarge a little bit the question, because I fully agree with you. Basically, shipping is tax-free, so of course it's interesting to see that the 20% is applied, whatever it is. But frankly, the debtor issuer has no real interest in saving peanuts tonnage tax savings in terms of reduced interest. But I recall in your slide, you made a very, I mean, on top of the yield, I fear, honestly I don't know very much about the mini bond instrument. You mentioned the advisor, the sponsor, the legal, the whatever. Is it included in the yield or on top? Because what I fear the interest of the industry is because at the end of the day, this is an instrument which is very expensive if you add all the legal structure, especially if you see the shipping industry in Italy, which is today very, very far away and below any kind of investment grade. So what I want to understand from you, I mean, who is taking care of the credit merit? Because if it's the same people who is at the end of the day sitting into a bank or credit committee board of the bank, the conclusion will be always the same. No way for the shipping. And maybe the shipping will become attractive again when the situation will change, so that, but in that case we will have very easy access to normal funding.
You are completely right on the tax regime, and Angelo on the lack of interest for shipping. But I mean, I think this regime is a start. So this is something which has been introduced in order to give a different possibility to companies which want to access the capital market. Then I think there will be amendments, and already there is interest, because we have seen 12 transactions in this sector means one transaction per month. So this means that there is interest in this type of, and I can see that we have recently assisted one of our clients, a bank, in a transaction which was a loan financing to provide working capital secured with mortgage over 2 ships, and it had a tenor of 3 years. This one, for example, could be easily replaced with a financial promissory note, because it has a duration between 1 month and 36 months. And the cost is not so high, because you don't have to pay expenses during the life of the instrument. There are no expenses during the life of the instrument, and the fees, at least for the regulated market, which is the extra mot pro of the Italian Stock Exchange, I think I can't remember the amount, but it's quite limited. Then you have to involve law firms. So that's true, the financial advisor, banks, okay, but in an event when you have to get usual loan financing, you have to involve law firm. The banks takes commission, the arranging commission. You have to pay breakage costs. You have to pay lots of expenses and fees which are included in your traditional loan financing. And then the banks, as also Hugo said, that they carefully evaluate their investment. They put lots of covenants in the loan agreements. This can be done also in bonds, but maybe less than they used to do in the traditional loan financing.
To make it clearer to me, so it means that the mini bonds is in any event a secured form.
Yeah.
So you can't issue anything unsecured unless you go on the promissory note, which is a totally different story.
I would to flip another point in discussion about private equity, and I want to come back to traditional private equity. So normally we consider 2 kinds of private equity: the asset private equity and the corporate private equity. I want to stay on the corporate private equity. I want to put 2 questions for respectively for Arturo, Capasso, and Andrea Garolla. Just this morning, Andrea, in the garden, we discussed about the change in mentality in the shipping company. Shipping company are traditionally connected to the patriarch, and are so scarcely managerialized. And so few teams, few skills, few professionals stay in the company and has a relevant role in the company. I want to ask you, both from different and opposite side, because Arturo is also board member in a private equity fund. What is your opinion regarding the future of our and in general shipping companies. So referring mostly to the change in the mentality and to in different behaviors regarding the usual day-by-day management system and schemes.
Okay. We have spoken many times about the possible cooperation between the private equity funds and shipping companies. And I dare say that theoretically speaking, is still a good opportunity, especially for the firms which did not invest too much during the booming period, and now they are not suffering, and they are ready to invest together with other investors money in shipping, exploiting also the good opportunity for the new vessels, but they are suffering only for the fact that they are too small compared to competitors. So this can be an opportunity. But when we go more deeply into speaking with investment funds, we realize that despite the operation should be in common and should be the same, there is too much difference in the way of thinking and in the targets of the ship owners and the investment funds, of course. The investment funds want the highest yield as possible in the lowest period, in a shorter period. Ship owner which runs a company which exists for 3, 4, 5 generations probably take care more of existing for other 3, 4, 5 generations and about the number of vessels in their fleet more than immediate yield. So I was thinking, and I was saying to Fabrizio, I believe that the meeting point can be found if both parties can do a step, behind. On one side, the ship owners should think that sometimes into their structure there is a lack of experience in finance, and this can be given by the people working in investment funds. On the other end, we just want to ask to the private equity fund to check if they can come across our needs to have a larger period for their intervention in our capital. And also, something which is very important, I believe, the rate of return is very much related to the risk, the perception of the risk of the investment funds. And something which probably because I'm too young and I've never understood is that why sometimes the approach of the equity fund is I lend you the money, I don't want to know anything about the management, and then after 5 years we will see what happened. I believe that the perception of the risk will be so much lower if they participate very actively into the management of a company. That's it. This probably, working on these two opposite sides, we could find a meeting point.
It's my engagement to find a compromise. I put the helmet.
You should be the mediator on both parties.
I will put the helmet of the Italian Association of Private Equity Investors in order to bring your thoughts about the change in the approach of private equity, and I think that we can work together on this side to help the companies to open the doors to potential private equity investors. So.
I believe that in Italy many companies are open, to show to the investment funds how it works and the manager to invite to participate into the management. There is a strong need of people skilled in something which we are not skilled in.
It's a good sound to hear this because you and Valeria represent the young ship owners in this floor.
Thanks.
So, and Arturo, you want to provide your view
completely
about?
agree with Andrea and with you. I think that probably private equity funds have to still to understand the shipping companies better, and this is why normally in this kind of business we need specialized funds. Sometimes not even funds, but investment companies, like, for example, Venice Shipping and Logistics is, because the rules of a regulated closed-end funds probably are not so appropriate for shipping companies. We need... Second point, let me say that I appreciated a lot the link between the first session and the second session on finance. The first one, we talked about quality of the shipping industry. According to my opinion, for many years we discussed about financing quantity. In the next generation of ship owners, in near future, we will discuss about financing quality rather than quantity in shipping. And this is an important point because when you change the asset, the nature of the asset you are financing, probably you have to reflect and change also the way to approach corporate finance. Reasoning in this, probably we are moving from a corporate finance based on tangible assets to a corporate finance in which intangible assets are more important. That's why I think that we have a segment in which we have already seen this switching, and probably in the shipping industry is the container segment. If we look at the container segment, we see that it is much more concentrated than probably also the cruising industry can be a good example of concentration. So, in my opinion, we are going to experience a further concentration in the ship owning, and this can be also a way to introduce a soft but continuous change in the governance structure and to get professional managers in the shipping companies.
Thank you, Arturo, for your contribute. I want to leave the last two panelists, but the last but not least, but probably the best. So, Mr. Ungaro, the Deputy Managing Director of AON, I want to ask about we saw the appetite of investors for shipping. I want to hear the opinion of the insurance company about the appetite for the risk, and meanwhile I want to hear the opinion of Angelo D'Amato about, this is not a provocation, Angelo, it's not a provocation, but my task is, so for that is, Hugo is close to you in order to stay calm, to keep you calm. What is your view about the approach of the Italian banks and the foreign banks in this cycle, in the slowdown, shipping slowdown? Recalling the presentation of Aldo, because Aldo stated as the problems of the independent expert in order to assess the plan, to confirm the data, the projections, and so I leave the word just 1 minute to Mr. Ungaro, because I am very curious to know the appetite of the insurance company for the shipping in terms of risk, and after you.
Very quickly, let's say, as you know very well, let's say, we have been discussing many times, and as you know, the difference between international banking and Italian banking on the restructuring process, that Italian banks do realize the real risks, because at the end of the day, restructuring and any procedure which is under the Italian bankruptcy law can be very risky for creditors if things goes very on the contrary.
I know what you are a river on this argument, but they're waiting for the lunch.
But generally speaking, Italian banks, they still keep a corporate approach. So if at the end of the day you are able to show it and demonstrate that at the end of the day there is a corporation, there is an organization, there is an industry, there is a structure, of course, with various degrees of understanding and following, they will follow at the end, or they will assist in a company. With regret, I have to say that the approach of the international banking still is and remain purely asset-based. So whenever you have the chance that your asset is close to loan-to-value 100, I mean, you can be whatever you like, but you will not get any help. They will continue to push, let's say, for selling. And because they have so many problems, so many defaulted, so many clients, maybe in their, I don't want to make, to refer to countries, but maybe so many local owners who are not even owners, let's say, or not even there, which they simply have to follow to reduce. And this is not very sensitive, not very, I would say, I not say smart, but it's not very wise, and especially if you have to face a procedure under the Italian bankruptcy law, which may drive to losing all your money. Because if at the end of the day you believe that, let's say, you can put the owner in front of a wall and say, either you sell or I'll kill you, I mean, the owner say, okay, kill me, and then we will see who's going to win. This is frankly, and generally speaking, let's say, it's the owner is losing, but the bank is not winning at the end. Italian banks are much more maybe used but generally speaking, I see they are trying to stay with the owners. And I have also heard in a couple of cases, banks which are taking an opportunity even to get, so they say, I believe in this company, I believe in this family, I do believe that if I help them now, they will thank me and stay with me for the future. This is the right approach, of course. That's needless to say.
Thank you, Angelo.
Angelo is right in telling that foreign banks or German banks, if you want to, pushing you to sell the vessel, normally, recently, they are pushing you to sell your vessel to their brand new internal platform. So
yes.
Speaking, I have nothing to learn from any Greek, French or German or specialist. I'm not happy. I mean, I will never allow any navios, just to make a name and surname, to squeeze 10% managing commission on my vessel, or in exchange of $1 million equity on a $130 million transaction deal. But this is a different story. So you provoked me, and then
nevertheless, the provocation from Francesco, but Angelo kept calm thanks to Hugo. So just to close, enjoying your lunch, and thank you again, the attendants and the panelists, the speakers, for the bright representation of the state of art. I want just to report some words of Winston Churchill that last night I read on a book. And just to flip a positive note in the conference, so Winston Churchill said, now this is not the end, is not even the beginning of the end, perhaps the end of the beginning. So.
Thank you. If I had more time to prepare, I would have been briefer, but you forgot this. Thank you for this beautiful session. I think your colleagues are already eating all your food and drinking the wine.